Welcome to the Midwest Moguls Show, where we talk all things business, real estate, and entrepreneurship. Let's dive into today's episode and make business enjoyable again. Welcome back to the Midwest Moguls Show. We have Troy Peppler in here with us today, real estate mogul himself, worldwide business owner. Troy, we're flattering you. He didn't necessarily know he was coming on the podcast today, but it is what it is. We were talking shop for the last hour, give or take.
Yep.
So that's what we're just going to get to know you a little bit better. But Troy, if you want to catch us all up to speed on how you got to where you're at in real estate, how'd you get into real estate to begin with? Because that's what a story that I just told you. I've never heard that. Joe definitely has not heard it. So I guess you tell us.
I got into real estate about 20 years ago. So I bought my first rental property. I owned a landscaping business for about 13 years. My goal was to buy a rental property as my retirement. Try to get a couple rental properties. Obviously, you don't get a pension with your own business. So I'd buy a couple rental properties. That was my retirement plan. So I got my first one, and then I met a different landlord I bought a couple from, got a couple more, and I guess the rest is history. I liked it better, so I sold the landscaping business and just jumped into the rental properties.
And was the initial thought with the rentals like, okay, eventually it's going to allow me to retire from like the landscaping, or what was the initial motivation to do that instead of like flipping houses or
initial thought was to do both, to keep the landscaping business and have the rental properties kind of supplement income, but also be a retirement, something that I could live off of 25 years down the road.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Cause it's one of those things that like even, and we were having a conversation before this, we'll leave names out, but there's like, there's different professionals who get into the real estate niche of sorts to either maybe it's a tax benefit, maybe it's to help their overall income grow it, whatever the case is, or provide that future retirement plan that they might not get through their current business or current job. So that's always interesting. Like now today, like what does the portfolio consist of from those first few rental properties? How'd you grow that? And then what does it consist of today?
Well, my main focus originally was college properties, so I had a lot of college properties, and then I kind of transitioned into more off-campus stuff, and now into some storage units, and into trying to get into wholesaling and flipping.
Dang, Jeff.
Yeah, getting into everything here.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
That's what so with the college houses, we've never actually had a college rental, and we're right here on the campus area. So what was it about the like college rentals that became almost like too consuming, or why did you start to push away from those? And I know you've told me this, but for everyone who's listening, watching right now, who might be interested in that realm, and for some people it's fantastic, but for most, I don't know. I guess you tell them what it's like, because you have the years of experience on it.
I got into the college market more so because the rents were higher in the college area. Houses were probably fairly close to the same price, but rents were higher, so I figured the income was better in the college area. So I got there and had higher rents, but now the rents have kind of evened out across the board. Yep. College really isn't a whole lot higher, and the houses are probably a lot older and need more work in the college area now. So college is just a little bit more of a headache every August with turnover. If you have, I think I was up to 60 properties at the most. So if you have 40 of those properties come August 1st, you got turnover. It's kind of a headache to get through all of them, clean them, fix stuff, and get the new renters in 2 weeks.
So that's what the turnaround time was, 2 weeks. It's like they moved out. What day
leases typically ended July 31st, and new ones came in August 15th.
Holy shit.
Damn. Yeah, so you had about 2 weeks to get everything turned over.
And is it like a lot of those, and this is, again, I'm not familiar with the college side, so like a lot of those tenants, was it 75% of the entire portfolio of rooms or houses, were 75% of those people new tenants coming in? Were there a lot of renewals, or how did that normally work out on
I always try to put a lot of focus on renewals, try to keep people for a couple of years if I could, so I didn't have to turn everything over. So generally, I would say probably in my portfolio, I would say 25% of them are probably renewals.
But still, that's 75% that weren't. That's what my mind goes through. That's a ton. And then was it... And today it seems like at least a lot of the college housing seems to be really well maintained. At least, and I don't know if that's I don't know.
I guess I kind of haven't really been in it for a little while. But
How many more do you have right now?
I have about 20 houses left by campus, and I got them sold on a master lease right now. So I really don't have. I'm not really running any, I guess, right now.
Yeah. Okay. Dang. So what was the, like, to get out of college, like what did that look like as far as, okay, you went from, we'll say 60 properties, and over the course of however many years, like when did you decide that you were officially done with the college housing? Was that a couple of years ago or what?
3 years ago.
Okay.
So I sold my office about a year and a half ago. So once I started selling the properties and I sold my office I had on campus and moved my office to my house. So about 3 years ago was kind of my deciding time.
Like kind of during that COVID timeframe.
Yep, just after.
Yeah. That's so crazy. Like I know there's a lot. I was talking to someone recently and they bought their first college rental. And he was asking me what I thought of it. I'm like, hey, it's, like I know they rent for a lot, and he was buying it with tenants in place. They were actually leased up through. They renewed for whatever 2025 school year.
Yep.
So for him, he was fairly well insulated. It's off of Jackson Street, but it's a big house, and I'm like, okay. I said, in a worst case scenario, you can probably sell it for what you bought it for, like roughly speaking. If it comes to that, and you're not basically making as much money as you thought, or you're not able to refinance or whatever. But the next question that I'll get into with you is how you built the portfolio. But he had asked me, it's like, well, how do I build up a portfolio of properties if I'm having to pay 20% down every single time? Like this house was $200,000. I put down $40,000. I don't just have another $40,000 lying around to do that. So he was just struggling with the fact of, okay, if values don't go up as much, or if rental prices don't increase as much as you want to, like how do you build a portfolio? And I guess in your experience, Troy, what was that like building it from nothing to where you're currently at? Like, were banks the key metric, or what'd you do in order to do that?
So I want to back that up a little bit because you said about a big house on Jackson Street. So 12, 15 years ago, big houses rented like crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted roommates. Everybody wanted to live with 4, 8, 6-bedroom, 8-bedroom houses rented like crazy. When the last few years, they just did not rent. Nobody
You should
wanted.
probably talk to
Yeah.
Nobody wanted roommates. I think is they wanted to have a 3-bedroom house, because I'd start walking into houses probably in the last 5, 7 years. They'd all be in their bedrooms. They weren't hanging out in the living room playing Fortnite or whatever they're playing. Like normal, they were all in their bedrooms and just not hanging out together. So nobody wanted a ton of roommates anymore.
That's so odd.
I don't know what the transition, why it changed, but it did.
Because when you were in school there,
Yeah.
Joe, how many roommates did you have?
I started out, my first, I guess, rental was with 2 other roommates. So it was a 3-bed one. And then next one was, I want to say 7 bedrooms.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. Favorite house right there.
Yeah.
So
How many years ago was that?
that might have been like 6, 7.
So that might be close to the transition period.
That's
then.
interesting. See, I would have never thought that. And I guess I've never had any experience. I never lived on the campus area. Like in I guess, whatever housing, student housing, I guess you could call it. So you think, and from what you've seen, it's went from, okay, the massive places like the 4-bedroom units or 5-bedroom units or whatever it is, transition a closet into a bedroom or whatever you need to
Dining
do.
room, whatever.
basically, yeah.
Put a door there or a curtain or whatever you need. So everyone's been shying away from those and then getting into like the single family house space from the sounds of it.
So the duplexes end up a lot of times in the last few years had to be split into 2 different groups. So you'd have one group upstairs, one group downstairs, where 10 years ago it was all 8 people in the house knew each other and were all friends. They wanted to rent a big house and be together. It's just
See, I would have never known that. Was that the way it was like for you guys
That's how it was, because ours was a duplex, and then we were just basically kept the doors wide open. And
Oh, I didn't know
just
that.
everybody,
Like the
everybody
track house?
Yeah, the track house. So
Dang.
you guys know, you know. But yeah, and then after that, I got into another house, and then that was only 5 bedrooms, so a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
But
that would have been single family probably.
yeah, yep. So that's kind of odd though that it's still the trend where people are looking for those smaller properties, and I feel like right now a lot of students are looking for even like apartments almost style of a property, just because, like you said, they don't want that many roommates. Maybe they have a significant other, who knows, that's staying with
That's
them.
true.
But yeah, that's kind of interesting.
I know I would never, like, just thinking about it, and that's where he was asking me questions. I told him, I'm like, I have no experience with college housing, so take this from my knowledge on normal single family or duplexes I'm like, well, if it's leased up or whatever, I don't know what rental rates currently are on campus, whether they're $400 or $450 or
They were
something.
about $450 when I sold most of my stuff, so I don't know what they're at now. I mean, they're not like Madison's at $600.
Yeah.
Which is
so it's a huge
freaking
difference.
nuts. Do you think the rents, at least on the campus area, will ever get to that amount? Well, in like the next handful of years, or no?
I don't think so, but I don't know. It
think
depends
it's
how
gonna-
much changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take a while just because you have to look at the economy and everything else. Kids never really had that much, especially college kids. So
Yep.
I know.
something has to change where they're at least getting more money in their pocket to be able to afford that. So that's where I don't know. It's going to take a lot longer than just 5-10 years, I feel like, for that to raise up to like 600.
Yeah,
They got to bring the enrollment back up.
correct.
Yeah.
And that's what, and you're familiar with the property. I'll bleep this out in case people are watching it. But that the Wisconsin Street apartments, right, that used to own, that place now that's all the one that we
Yeah,
cleaned that day.
I saw that. It's
It's-
up for sale.
Well, it's a shithole. Like
It is.
you drive by there and then there's like lady out front in her freaking what looks like a wheelchair, just like smoking cigarettes. And I'm like, I said that used to be all students.
Yep.
Now it's
No
they have
students.
correct, and it's like a mixture of some of them I think had renewed. Now I don't know this year. I don't know what their vacancy is, but they're asking like 3.8.
Down to 3.6 now.
Is it?
Is it?
Holy shit.
Yeah, because
Well,
right now it says
damn, I didn't know
potentially
that.
could be turned back into student housing. So
Yeah.
right now it's not. So you got a lot of, single families, people that,
Yep.
like you said, might not be in the best shape of their life and just, aren't taking care of the well, you're in a wheelchair and you're smoking a cigarette. You tell me what type of shape you're in.
Yeah, I know. Hey, she's on the
Could
first
be a
floor.
motorized wheelchair.
Yeah, well, okay.
But no, so on that same topic, on that same property, I was scrolling through Facebook one day on the rental forums, and that property was posted for rent. And then there was comments underneath it. And it's like, hey, is this the property that has the cockroaches in it? And I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like, what the hell? If that was actually the
Yeah.
case, like even still people saying that's not very good for,
Anybody?
No.
yeah,
it's
exactly,
terrible.
rental purposes. But, and I could have sworn that they had purchased that place for $4 million or somewhere around there. Or maybe they purchased it for
They did.
$385 or something like that.
Yeah, I think right now they're selling it or have it listed less than what they bought it.
Yeah.
So
I looked at that building, I think pre-COVID. I
Yeah.
went through it, had lunch with Ben Munoz and talked about numbers.
For
but
like 2 hours probably.
it was a lot less than that, though.
Yeah.
A lot less than 3.6.
And it's just like that place. I would assume like if it was sold, and I thought it was sold on seller finance, like who wants to take that place back now?
yeah,
Like I could see taking it back if it was college students, but taking it back now with like that.
having to make that transition.
Oh my
'Cause
God.
it's
Make
not
that
gonna-
transition back to college, I think would be
It'd be
tough.
insane.
Yeah.
Because
It'd be hard.
Are you giving everyone a notice to vacate, and then hopefully by September 1st you can have it all
Have it all
leased up?
rented,
And
yeah.
Right.
You're not
That'd be
going to
insane.
show it to college kids with what's living
No
in there
kidding.
right now.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
that's
Maybe you could, I guess.
I don't know. It's probably not going to work out too well.
Yeah.
But I know they did do some remodeling, but every time I drive by there, even on the way to the office here, it's like the front windows are busted out, the lawn or the landscaping's all overgrown, and that's just like the value looking like that. I just don't think it's
The
there.
curb appeal is not there.
Yeah.
Correct. For that much money, like that's a lot of money no matter how you're looking at it, but
So you're not writing an offer?
probably not. Yeah, probably.
We'll let it drop a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
and
Yeah,
then-
just
then-
keep going.
then we
Keep
might-
going down.
Yeah.
Maybe for like the mid twos. It probably
Yeah.
wouldn't be a bad property because
No,
it's
it wouldn't.
24 units, 12 in each building. So if you bought
Is
it
it-
like
yeah.
right around
I
100,000
think
a
it's all
unit,
3s and 4s.
yeah, 3 and 4 bedroom.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's I mean,
That wouldn't be terrible.
from a college student standpoint, that's huge because that's a lot of money. I mean, $450 a room potentially.
Yeah.
We're talking a lot of
Well, but the tenants paid all their own utilities, I believe, because he had it all separately
Okay,
metered.
yep.
So that's just obviously a nuanced conversation. But now, kind of getting back to the original point, did you like in the process of growing your portfolio, Troy? Was it like did you utilize a lot of bank financing? Was it a lot of private money? Was it a lot of your own money, or how did you grow from absolutely nothing to 60 properties at one point, then to storage units, then to flipping and wholesaling? Like, what has been the catalyst to even be able to do that? Because I think that's what a lot of people struggle with.
So buying my first property, I actually took out a home equity line of credit on my own house to buy my first property. That was my down payment to get that one. And then I used private money to buy some until I could start building equity up and getting into rolling that into other properties.
So was it like as the equity built, and for people, like explain equity on a very simple basis if you can, or if you want me to explain it for people who are watching or listening that might not understand.
Why don't you explain? I want to hear you explain
my explanation of equity, I would say it's what you owe on your house. So say you owe $100,000 on your house, but it's worth $200,000. Well, in that case, you would have $100,000 of equity that maybe the bank will let you utilize, maybe they won't. Typically with you said a home equity line of credit.
Yep.
So they'll borrow maybe up to 80% or 90%.
Yes.
So they would give you up to $180,000 or an extra $80,000 that you can loan against. So that's kind of how, at least on your side, you kind of some call it cross collateralization.
Yep.
But you borrowed from there to purchase more properties, then kind of did that along the way to build things up.
I drew against my house to buy the first two.
That's cool.
Our house, and I used that for the down payment.
Yep.
Interesting.
Joe, that's why you need to buy yourself a house. We'll sell you that one on
1705 Arlington from me.
Yeah, I know. That was only 6 months ago.
Yourself a buyer.
I actually was going to send that video to Grace. I'll show you guys here in a little bit after this, but it's literally she did flooring, kitchen cabinets, bathroom, paint, windows, roof siding's good. Like you literally wouldn't have to do anything if you bought it from us. It would just be like $190,000.
Just 190.
And we only bought it for like
like 60?
One.
I think sounds like a good deal.
I know. It's and from there. So okay, you built everything up. You were borrowing or utilizing the HELOC, and then now recently, and we've had conversations about this, but it's been the flipping and wholesaling thing that's been the most interesting to you. And is it due to like interest rates, the loan environment, or what has been or just wanting more cash or whatever? It's like we do it for the cash side of things. Obviously, the flipping
I actually enjoy looking at the houses and getting into the flipping. I haven't really done a whole lot of wholesaling yet, but I enjoy looking at the houses and flipping the properties, seeing what they look like prior, see what they look like done. But yeah, the interest rates are huge. I mean, to buy and hold something right now at 9% interest is a little tough versus 4% 3 years ago.
And it's crazy, and that's where I think a lot of we've been selling some rentals off, and a guy's buying one, and we just listed it for sale up in Neenah. We're doing a 1031 into an industrial style building, but the guy's paying cash for it. The return on investment, we were listed at 190. He offered 200 cash, and I'm like,
really?
You're the only showing.
Sold?
Yeah. I was hoping we would.
Yeah, and so it was 200 cash, no inspection, no nothing. I'm like, okay. And she even asked me, the agent asked me, she's like, oh, do you have any other showings? I'm like, no, you're the first one. And they wrote it that. I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh. One and done.
Yeah, I know. So I'm like, that was sweet. But with that, I'm like, he's using that much cash, and maybe he might have a high income or whatever the case is, just has it lying around. But do you, are you an advocate of slowly but surely paying off a portfolio? Are you an advocate of having the tenants pay it down? Or what do you think is the best utilization for the actual equity in the properties?
When I was buying, I was more just use the equity to buy more. I was more just buy than pay stuff off.
Yeah. And that's kind of been my thoughts on things as well. And I think as I get a little bit older, it's slowly but surely changed. But I think if you try to pay down one property at a time, you grow extremely, extremely slowly. And it limits all the growth on everything that you do. So teach your own on that side.
I think your benefit is going to be once they're paid off 10 years down the road, that's where you're going to make your money. Once you keep them 10 years and sell them then that's where you're going to make your money.
So when you got your first property, how old were you?
25.
So we're back into so you're roughly 45 today. We're backing into numbers here.
Roughly.
Yeah.
We're not going to make any assumptions, but so that's where the patience side of things on that 20 years of buying properties and doing real estate is I can't even imagine doing that. But that's kind of Joe and I have conversations all the time of what do we want this to look like in 5 years from now or 10 years from now? But plugging away for that amount of time is, I don't know, I think that's incredible. I don't know many people who have done that. I don't really know any. So just having the tenacity to keep after that, like what would, if like the money side of things wasn't an object, with real estate or any business in general, what would kind of be the next step, or what would the next step look like, at least in your life or your business wise? Like what would you pursue, or what's the passion? Where does the passion
I would
lie?
like to get back in more rental properties. It won't be college stuff. I'd like to get back into more rental properties maybe next year, depending on the rates. Probably multi-unit.
Yeah.
I'd look at multi-unit stuff.
Like apartments?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's
or me duplexes, I guess, are side by side duplexes aren't bad. But something more than a single family, I think.
and that's where I could have swore you said you did work for UPS at one
I
point.
did for 25 years.
Were you now when you were there, what did you do for UPS? Like were you a delivery driver?
No, I worked part-time in the building. So I went in at 4 o'clock in the morning and worked till about 8 or 8:30. So I did that the whole time I was running my portfolio rentals as well.
Dang.
So I worked part-time there about 20 hours a week and then ran my portfolio.
Did you, because we had a conversation with a guy, he would actually probably be a good resource to talk to, but Ben, who was in here probably 2 weeks ago or something like that. So Ben, he's currently, he just told me what he did. I don't know what he does, but something with like the gas lines. But Ben was saying that he eventually wants to get away from the job and then go full-time into real estate. But the big thing for him was having the steady income for lending purposes. Like, did that help out, like working for UPS? Did that help out over the years of, it's like, hey, the lender knows I'm making some sort of income, or were you pretty much all in on real estate that the UPS income didn't really matter too much?
No, it was nice to have that secondary income, if you want to call it, I guess. It was nice to have that, especially from the bank standpoint. A little more security.
And that's where, like, and we've seen this, and we utilize a lot of the same lenders, but the banks have tightened up so much, and they're, like, just conservative right now, as they probably should be. Because there's whatever the rates, like we've discussed this entire time, they're not the cheapest, seem to be going down. And that's where, like, we utilize West Point Bank a lot. I know you do as well, but we've been talking to some credit unions, and the property that we're buying, we're going through a credit union. Their terms, I think they're offering like 6.25 on a 25-year AM. So I'm like, the rates are 2% less, roughly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, for that, I'm like, holy shit.
2% is huge.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the 25-year amortization, because I know West Point's only at 20. And then obviously you pay it down a little bit quicker. But even from the cash flow side of things, I'm like, this is like, we would be dumb not to do this.
Yeah.
And I know CoVantage was another good one that we've never utilized, but that's where, like, Josh, I think he's used them before for storage units and apartment complexes. So
I know some other landlords that use CoVantage too.
and it's so with it, like I guess I'll ask it from, I'm looking for advice on this. So we're doing the 1031. We're buying this industrial building. We're selling off like, it's basically 2 houses on 1 lot. Now with that, like, do lenders, if the appraisal on the industrial building comes in a lot higher, which I'm assuming it does, it's under rented right now, would they allow us to utilize, in your opinion, do you think they would allow us to utilize the equity in that industrial building to buy other places, or is that rent going to have to be sufficient to cover the possibility of default? Or how does that work?
In my past experience with that, they would not let me use the equity right away.
Okay.
You'd have to own the property for a little while before they would let you.
That sucks.
Hey, I got $200,000 in equity in property I just bought last week. Can I use it?
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they would, but in my past experience, they would not let me do that.
Okay. And that's where I was like, because that's the conversation we have.
Right.
It's like, it's a 12-year lease. So it's till 2036. And
That's a lot stronger lease. So that being a commercial building, industrial, that might be different. I don't know.
I know. And it's such it's a unique property before we buy it.
Yeah.
But it's a cool building. It's rented by a commercial electrician. But I walked in there. I did a tour with the owner. The guys in the office front area, it's similar to this setup. Like, the guy's fucking smoking in the front. So it's like, you walk in, it's
in a wheelchair?
No,
it's not.
it wasn't the tenant at the Wisconsin
Yeah.
State Apartments, but no, it reeked like smoke. I'm like, there's like 3 other people working up there with him. I'm like, dang, this is just, so it needs, I think, a little bit of love. But that was the thing. One of the owners has built, he was saying their largest building, did I tell you, like 250,000 square feet or something like that?
That's
just
huge.
like these huge industrial spaces. Then they're leasing them up to, like, I think one was like an Amazon warehouse style, and then others were just like, whether it's freight or shipping or logistics or medical office, but that's what he built his entire business on was industrial. They were the general contractor, and then they would find these plots and like slowly build up. And now I think he said he has like 30 some industrial buildings across the valley.
Wow.
And I'm like,
That's insane.
and I'm trying to remember his name. I have it on my computer, but
There's a lot of like construction going on right now. It seems like all industrial right along the highway going up to Green Bay.
correct.
So like there's obviously money being spent there. Who's going to be moving in there? I don't know, but I was even thinking, I'm like, maybe we should get some piece of land there and see what we can do. But
I know, and that's like the construction side of things. Is there a reason that you never got into new construction on your side?
I just don't know enough about it.
No.
yeah.
You have the resources to talk to people. You know people who are in the development space. It's just, I think that's a totally different animal.
Even commercial, I think, is the same thing, a different animal. I just never got into it. Not that I wouldn't, but I just never had the opportunity, I guess.
And I know Joe and I have talked like multiple times in the past of like, is it easier just to build up a single family portfolio of whatever, 100 houses or 50 houses or whatever the case is, if you know how to buy them deeply discounted, or is it better to buy one 50-unit property and have it, like, I don't know. And that's what.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you have one location versus 100 locations.
I know,
so,
right.
But you also have a lot bigger roof. You got to put a roof on it.
Correct.
You got 50 water heaters. I mean, I guess
That's true.
you got 100 water heaters, I guess,
I know.
in single family
Yeah, I
houses
know.
too. So it's
It's
the one
just-
location I think would be huge. I think having one physical location to worry about, I think would be the benefit of it.
And that's like I go back and forth in my mind because I'm like, and it's probably just because the interest rates haven't penciled out in recent times, and it's such a drawn out process of, okay, this doesn't cash flow or whatever the case is. Like, is there any good deals? And I know there might be with apartments. I just haven't seen any. We haven't really
Me
bought
either.
any.
I haven't really looked a whole lot either in the last year just because of interest rates.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's like discouraging. You look at something, you're like, yeah, they're asking $100,000 a unit or whatever, and they're not even like the rents are like you're losing money if you get financing on it right now. So that's interesting. Joe, what questions do you have for Troy?
So I guess my question right now would be, like, where's your kind of milestone right now to get like the amount of properties, I guess, for rentals and everything like that? Are you trying to hit, 50 properties or a specific number in order to make sure you're able to kind of retire and live that financial free, life that you're looking for right now?
Well, I'm not really actively looking for rental property just because, like I said, interest rates. So I'm not really actively looking. Next year, I'll start looking more. I got a package of properties that I'll sell in June of next year that I'll 1031 exchange into something. I just don't know what yet until the time comes to find it. But I'm more so actively into the flipping and trying to get into the wholesaling right now just because it's the rates and it's hold on to something for 3 months and sell it.
I know. And it's fun. I honestly, I think
is.
the rush of buying something and remodeling it and reselling it, like
Car's just addicted to stress.
yeah, I think that's what it is. Like it's such a new experience that like with every single project, you're like, well, I haven't had that before, or we haven't went through this or that. And even like the process of buying it and closing on, and then watching the transformation from really, really shitty to extremely nice. Like we have that one up in Door County that the house was terrible. I'll show you. I have before and after photos, but the property was terrible. But I don't think we're going to make anything on it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
we have 7 months into a renovation. We make absolutely no money on the place. And that just, I don't know. And then our contractor who worked on it, now he's in jail. And
Yeah, so that doesn't help.
he didn't finish it out. Like we had to go up there.
No work release?
No work release.
No.
Yeah. I don't even know what happened either.
Yeah.
Like it was, we're like, oh, did he pass away or whatever the case was? So we're looking, we're doing some research. I'm calling the hospitals. I'm like, well, maybe he's in the hospital. And then I call the non-emergency line. I'm like, yeah, can we just do a welfare check? And then they call me back like 5 minutes later. Oh yeah, he's just in jail. And I'm like, well, can you tell me what for? And you're like, oh, you would have to submit like an open record request or something like that. I'm like, well, it's probably not worth doing that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's been an interesting process. But the before and after of the flip houses is always kind of an exciting time frame. And then wholesaling, it's just like you're pushing paper, you're moving deals. We've sold you some deals. Hopefully those have turned out fairly well for you. And then like it's you never know.
They have. I've done 12 in the last year. I've done 12 flips, so I don't have a complaint about any of them. Some are bigger jobs than other, but I've enjoyed the whole last year doing it.
And now on the like, what would be, at least for you, like the bread and butter of flips? Because your buy criteria for flips is even different than ours. Like, I know what our sweet spot is as far as like price points are concerned. It seems like yours are a lot more expensive. So and maybe it's just because of the inventory that's available, but what makes you kind of lean more towards those versus anything else?
I think a lot of those are quicker.
Yeah.
I think if you just got to go and paint flooring, maybe countertops, and that get in and out in a month and get it done. And I think there's those are quicker ones, and you just got to buy them for the right price.
Yeah. And that's like and we were discussing before, like what marketing methods to use, everything like that. I had suggested like the pay-per-lead, maybe some direct mail, some of the instant offer letters, so on and so forth. And I truthfully believe that like one of those resources will lead to something. I think maybe even the direct mail might be the best route to go, because then you actually know if someone's serious or not when you get them on the phone. And it'll allow you to target the whatever bread and butter houses are kind of up your alley.
Yeah.
So like for us, it seems like the more we can get away from renovating, Joe and I have had this conversation along with everyone else in the offices, the better it seems when we just maybe do 1 or 2 renovations at a time instead of like 5 or 6.
Like in the summer, I want to say like going into June, I think we had like 8 properties on,
and
like
some
on
of
our
them were
table
sitting.
that we were working on. Yeah, basically sitting there.
It was terrible.
Just a little, finishing touches over here, but we're more concerned with the bigger issues that are going on the properties. So that's where that takes priority over the, the little task. And then you're holding on to it for extra 2 months, 3 months, and that's eating up your money
No
right
buyer
there.
for those. If you have them.
Yeah.
I know. Well, that's what, and we were so close. It's like when you get to you're probably like 2 weeks out from finishing the places. We were like that on probably 5 of them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, who's going to go and finish them? And then we had contractor issues. We had guys we had a crew of contractors who were working for us for probably the better part of a year. Like when Gabriel and those guys were working for us. And then their prices went from here to like here to here and they kept going up. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And
Every single job.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is insane. And then they didn't end up finishing that one. We had to send our guys to finish it. And it was just, that was the biggest thing. And I'm like, the more we can get away from that, I think the better it is probably for us, at least our business model of like churning through places. But picking up, I think the occasional or multiple wholesale deals or buying, like you were just telling Joe and I, you've bought a ton on market. What is, and we can kind of start wrapping the show up after this, but what is the process like for buying on market flip properties? Like, because that's not something, I think we've bought one.
I look on realtor.com almost every day and just see what's out there. And I look through pictures and just, if it looks old and dated, those are the ones I look for.
And you're just going out, you're touring it, you're making offers.
Yep.
Have the offers been competitive with the other people in the market, or what has been your thoughts on that?
I've had to do escalation clauses on some of them to get but I knew if I wanted the property, I would escalate, 10, 15 grand above asking just because I wanted the property. So I've had to do that on a couple of them, but they've paid off.
Yeah.
And do you, sorry to
No, you're good. You're good.
off. Do you, I guess, see the actual listing price be comparable for where you're actually looking to buy the property at? Or they wait like a lot higher, a lot lower?
I think they're higher. I mean, I think they're higher, maybe not higher by a lot, but they're definitely higher just because they're on the MLS.
Correct. And that's where like even people who are watching this right now, maybe they don't want to buy on marketplaces or whatever the case is, like figuring out some sort of lead source. And like we've sold some to you in the past, you've bought from other individuals, you've bought some on the market, some off the market, whatever the case might be. But kind of getting the right mixture of, okay, how much do I need to spend in marketing? How much can I count on? And just knowing the numbers of, I've bought 12 over the last 12 months on market. So maybe I can account for 1 a month, going that route. Now I want to do at least another 12. So what is this mix going to have to be like of how much direct mail do I need to send? How many conversations do I need to have? Like to just get some sort of idea on numbers. And that's one thing that the more I look at it, at least on our side, the more you can kind of figure out, okay, this seems to be working a little bit better. Let's just pour more money into this for right now. And then kind of go from there. But other than that, Joe, any other questions for Troy or any questions Troy has for us? Because I don't want to make this too long.
Yeah, I got nothing.
You got nothing.
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm trying.
nothing.
Yeah.
That's fair. Well, appreciate you guys watching as always. If you enjoy the content, hit the like and subscribe button down below. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on any podcasting platform. We will see you in the next one. Peace.